That's exactly what happens. Yeah, it's so there's the kind of disenchantment with the illusion, and that's the ending of the dream. It's it's experienced in very different ways, but that's what's been described as the dark nights. So they could be more intense, like filled with terror, or they could be more subtle and kind of a what you are describing like as an apathy, where it's just like, what's the point? There's nothing here. I'm not getting what I wanted. It's no longer exciting. There's like a boredom with it, and it can become like a limbo or a lingering in a something that's just not going anywhere. But it is a phase, and if we keep looking and we keep working, there can be a coming out on the other side. And in the Christian writings of the Dark Nights, which is the dark nights of the senses and the soul. So there's several dark nights. So in that map, um, there's first a disenchantment with the world, and then there's a disenchantment with the spiritual world. So we move from the work of finding pleasure and happiness in experience. So we move from looking for it in experience and relationships and substances, um, things, experiences. We move, there's a shifting into the inner world, to the searching in what you could say a more spiritual search. But then there's also a dark night there, because we, again, don't find it. We do at first, we experience the kind of thrills of spiritual openings and subjective internal experiences. But then that could also lead to, if the progress is healthy, it leads to another dark night, another series of dark nights, where we're not finding it in the spiritual work either. And that's actually a successful journey when we get to that point, because it's no longer around any kind of experience, spiritual or worldly, or any kind of shift of consciousness. But what can happen is the coming out on the other side is what has been known or described in many ways as peace or Satchitananda, which is consciousness, bliss, knowingness, peace, well-being, happiness, but true happiness, not dependent on anything. Just a love. It's a gentle caring for everything that is. But yes, it's what I feel you're describing is that exactly. It's that um, those periods where what used to bring motivation, energy, excitement starts to not work anymore. But it's important to keep looking and look more deeply, explore, to not stay too much stuck in that limbo. Hmm. And it's never not about experience. So it actually includes everything. So, for example, I get enormous thrills of like going swimming in the ocean and swimming close to a turtle and being in that kind of amazingness. So I'm very much diving into all experience, relationships. I love a good glass of wine or mezcal, right? All of it is embraced. But there's no longer a looking for something to be resolved or gained from any particular experience. I'm saying this because there is a risk of, in that kind of shifting of the losing of that motivation, to kind of withdraw and not embrace experiences. So in a sense, it's the not finding of the answer in the experience, but then going more into it at the same time. What's coming up is remembering a movie. It's a comedy I really like called Yes Man with Jim Carrey. And he goes through, in a lot of his movies, he's going through awakening. And then he went through awakening in real life, in his life. But several of his movies were all about that. And in this one, well, Truman Show is a story of awakening. Yes Man is a story of awakening. Um, and in this one particularly, he goes through these experiments of extremes, coming from a place of like completely shut down, and then going into experience. And so there's this big yes to life, yes to the adventure, the exploration. But at some point in the movie, he realizes there's nothing there either. But he doesn't stop diving. So as you are feeling this, simultaneously, can you see anything that you might want to experience, that you might want to dive into, that might feel, even as you don't have like a motivation or a desire as you used to? Is there anything that in a new way, in a deeper way, can be calling in life, so that a deeper energy may awaken? Yeah, it brings up all of the old patterns of interpreting things as the normal. Yeah, the absoluteness of that is the absoluteness of that is the problem, because it could be almost that and it would be right. So it's not that you're in the wrong country, but maybe it's, how about traveling a bit? Or it's, you're in the wrong city or the wrong culture. How about exploring a different culture a little bit? You know, because the mind goes to these absolutes that turn it into a negative, and almost a self-critical negative, or a no to life, like you're, what's happening is wrong. But maybe there's an actual gem in what's trying to come out, but there's a interpreting through thought. There's an interpreting through thought that turns it back into the kind of the the murky mind of making it all something's wrong. And what's coming out, the gem, is maybe there's an interest in other cultures, in other places. And not because that's where the solution is, but that's just where life and love and passion is, where it's moving towards right now. And this is the one of the ways in which you can interpret the koan of before chop wood, carry water, after chop wood, carry water. Life is still where it's at, but we're not looking for the same thing there anymore. We're just freely living, exploring, enjoying. That's why I think it's important, and I always repeat, there's all of this work of self-inquiry, introspection here and now, but what does the universe want to live through you or as you? What do you want to live? You as universe, you as life itself. Really big question. That's the point of it. It's the universe itself. You as the universe itself has this precious moment, an opportunity to be what only exists once. Never before has there been a Joe. Never after will there be a Joe. It's this one chance. One chance of this perspective. And it's not just Joe, it's Joe today, which is different than tomorrow. This moment, which is different from this moment. Different from this moment. That's what, to me, that movie Yes Man is about. It's about that kind of figuring out what is this, what do I want, and he starts exploring without, in a sense, like dropping fear. He's experiencing fear, but he's dropping the fear that's the paralyzing contraction. But then he finds that it's not there either, but it doesn't mean not experiencing. It's not about saying yes to everything either, because that's what the movie is about. He goes to see I don't know who you have seen it, but he goes to see some guru that says yes, say yes to everything that comes, say yes to it. And so he now kind of adopts that, and shit happens because he starts saying yes to everything that presents itself, and his life goes crazy, as a Jim Carrey movie would. But it's awesome. But then he realizes that's not the answer either. It's not yes to everything. But he needed to do that to get out of the saying no to everything. And then he discovers, what do I really want is yes to this, no to this, yes to this, moment by moment, discerning, listening, intuiting, freely, a free yes, a free no, not conditioned, attuned to every moment.